Hey everybody, welcome back. It's Monday Ramblings, it's actually Tuesday. I've been super busy and I decided to put off the ramblings yesterday because I was moving and I needed to get all that work done. But I'm taking a break right now after I got off work and I'm trying to get everything situated as far as the clothes and putting things where they need to be because it must be done. That's what moving is like. So Thursday, actually, let me back up. On, what day was that? Well, starting last Monday, I started packing up, getting my stuff, putting bins and putting boxes, getting things ready, because Thursday, I was picking up the U-Haul. So I had the garage full of boxes and kind of pushed all the furniture to the living room. And my friend Chris was coming over around 8 o'clock on Thursday, which we beat the rain, by the way. My daughter has a bird named Sky. My daughter's 13. And during, all the doors were open, the front door, the garage door, and the door to the garage. So while we were pulling boxes in the garage, I was working in the kitchen. Trevin was taking a box into the garage. Trevin's my son. He's 11. And at the same time, Zeta opened her cage, and the bird just gone. No. The bird flew out the garage door. And outside, first she was scrambling around trying to get the door shut because she thought it was still inside, but no. She ran outside. She was so upset. I felt upset for her because she was really crying and what are we gonna do? And we looked around for about a half hour, then Jesus. That's a real world sneeze in there. After about 15 minutes, we looked around and we could not find Sky. Sky's in the tree somewhere, and what do parakeets do in the wild? I'm not sure. Not a good sign for Sky. There's this fly buzzing around. Get out of my shot, fly. Damn you, fly. Damn you. So Sky goes missing. We look around for 15 minutes and couldn't find her, so we decided to continue to move, get all the furniture in, because I knew it was going to fill up the U-Haul, which it did. And the goal was to, since I didn't have any help until Friday. So I start a video, I start sneezing. I guess that's how it goes. I'm not sure what to do with my hands here. So we get the truck loaded, and the next day, I get up early. We pretty much all slept on the floor. All the kids and I, with air mattresses and on pillows and stuff like that. And then we woke up around 7, and I start packing up the rest. Try to see what else I can put in the truck. And so we had to get down to Fort Wayne by 12. Because the water and the gas and the internet is all going to be turned on Friday. And my brother was meeting me down there, so it all worked out. We all drove down there. My dad, thank you to him and his wife Jerry for coming down and helping me and getting the kids donuts and entertaining them, even though the boys weren't much help. But yeah, that was kind of a crap show there. But never move with your kids. Ugh. Usually the older ones, it works out a little better, but... So yeah, by the time you see this, actually, let's get back to that. So yeah, then after my brother, we put all the furniture in, I had to come back to Angola and go back to where I live and pack up the rest of my stuff for the second trip because I had to bring the U-Haul back Saturday morning. So I was able to do that. I filled it up a second time by myself and then dropped the U-Haul off. But then I had a shoot on Saturday at Gear Fest at Sweetwater. So, some friends of mine, John and Amber Elliott. Amber and her mom, they own Wicked Good Cupcakes, and they have a food truck. And basically, they're these two cupcakes in a jar, and the owners from Massachusetts that came up with the idea, and actually on Shark Tank, I think Kevin O'Leary or Mr. Wonderful, he put $75,000 into their company, and they eventually paid her back, or the mother and daughter team, they paid Kevin O'Leary back, and he still gets 45 cents off each jar, I believe. But anyway, the owners were there at Gear Fest, and they had nice ribbon cutting. The weather was really... it was hit and miss. It started pouring. It was windy, and I don't know. I've been to Gear Fest before, but I didn't go last year. But from what some of the other vendors were saying, that it was down a little bit this year because of the weather. Actually, where I parked at, there were service trucks pulling cars out of the mud because you had to park in the grass, and it was, all the rain on Friday and Thursday and Friday, along with Saturday. It was pretty mucky out there, and my shoes were white. Good choice. So they're covered in mud, and I had a nice gentleman saw me hauling all my camera gear, and he's on a golf cart. He's like, "Yeah, hop in, man." I was like, thank you. So I forgot to get his name, but thank you to him for helping my back. So yeah, I'll have that stuff up pretty soon on my YouTube channel and my Facebook page. So you check that out. I just started putting stuff together, and I want to get that edited this week. But it's been really hard, obviously, because I've been moving. So I just got my computer set up back in Fort Wayne, but in Angola, still trying to get everything packed up and get down to Fort Wayne, because I have to be out of here by Saturday is my last day. But everything's out of here anyway, other than some clothes, and I have to clean and sweep and mop and stuff like that. Good times, yeah. But it's got to be done. Who's going to do it? No one's going to do it unless you do it. So I went, I was there for about 5 or 6 hours at Gear Fest, I think. And then we met Danny and, I can't think of her name. Drawing a blank. But anyway, I met them at Chappelle's. I think it's called that. It's down on Jefferson Point. No, not Jefferson. It's on Jefferson Street. It's down by Scotty's Brew House. And it was interesting. We had a great dinner there. We had a great time. It's one of those nights where it's one of those great nights that I think I'll always remember, just because we had some of the company I was with. Of course, John and Amber and her mom and Bubba and Jordan, Amber's son. He's a great kid, great guy, I should say. Brother Jordan, he calls me Brother Trent because we kind of resemble each other, even though I'm about almost 20 years older than him. But I've been blessed by my parents' genes, so thank you to them. Anyway, And then they joined us for dinner, the owners, like I was telling you, Danny, and gosh, I can't think of her name. So they're telling us they were on Shark Tank, like I told you, and then they've been on other shows, and they're talking about all their experiences through Shark Tank and all their media events they've been through, and it's pretty interesting to hear their story and talk to them, and really down to earth people. And actually, at Gearfest at Sweetwater, there were some people that recognized them, and they were signing autographs. They gave some books and mugs away. So that was pretty cool. I also ran into someone I worked with, someone I used to work with at PBS. He's got Chris. Actually, he watches this, so hi, Chris. He does Atomic Sharks, and we used to work at PBS together. So we had a nice little chat. I haven't seen him in it's been a while, maybe 10 years. Last time I was at PBS. I stopped working there in 2004, so it's 2018 now. It's crazy. And Chris is still there, and Amber and Todd are still there. 2 other people I used to work with. They're great people as well. That was a great experience for me to work at PBS. But so it was nice to run into him, and ran into Ken and his daughters. So that was really cool. And then I got to walk around and look at some of the gear, which is after I got done with the interviews with them and with the owners of Wicked Good Cupcakes. I talked to the franchise owners, and so yeah, it was anyway, that dinner was spectacular. And so afterwards I met a friend of mine that I played volleyball with, and he's going through a divorce. So it's really hard time for him right now, especially when you separate your family, and he's on the later stages of it. So that part is difficult to know, because I think he doesn't want to get divorced, and maybe she does. I'm not sure of the situation. I'm only hearing one side, but that's a difficult thing to go through. I've actually been through that, but his situation is a little different because of course they're all different. I mean, how stupid is that? But the fact is he doesn't want to, and my situation, it got so toxic that it felt at certain times that it was the right thing to do, not necessarily at the time frame. When you look back, it's you're not in your right mind. You're not thinking rationally. There's a lot of anger that's going on. It's it'll kind of consume you for a while. And I believe you kind of overlook why you're there, and instead of why am I in this position? Because do I want this, or do I really not want this? Or am I going to allow my anger to dictate my life, or things that happened in the past to dictate? But you're in a situation where one of them wants to leave, it's like, what do you do? There's not much you can do. You can go to counseling, and I don't want to say there's not hope for anyone. It has happened to people I know that actually got through it when they got separated. But for most people, when you hear that people got separated, a lot of people just say behind their breath, yeah, they're probably gonna get divorced, which is pretty unfortunate. The best situation for kids is for your parents to stay together, but so yeah, it was a good conversation we had. It was kind of different going from that Chappelle's dinner where it was such a euphoric high, where you didn't want the night to end. But on the other hand, I felt grateful that I got an opportunity to talk to this guy that I haven't seen in a while, and maybe have a chance to help him in any way that I can. And a lot of times you just have to listen during those things, and which I try to do, and try not to interject unless he asks for my own opinion, then I will say, maybe in his case it's, I told him straight up, like, I think it's over, and you are in the last leg of divorce. You're just going to have to actually accept it. And that's how it's going to be, unless you don't sign it. I guess you could, but I think he's delaying the inevitable. But I think honesty is the best policy in that instance. No need to sugarcoat it and try to give hope when it's not there. And I think he's starting to get there himself, that he's aware that this is probably, not possibly, the end. So you got a whole different dynamic about, you got your kids split up, you've got possibly dating coming up in the future. There's all these types of issues that come up. And so for me, I've typically just dated when I don't have my kids, and I've pretty much stuck to that policy in the 4 years that we were separated, because I feel like I shouldn't try to bring different women into the kids' lives unless I know for sure that it's, that we're, pursuing with a relationship, and and that possibly could be a deterrent for some people that I'm dating that maybe wants to meet my kids or whatever. And but yeah, I've been really cautious about that, and it's probably cost me some relationships because of that, because of I'm super cautious about how I'm going to proceed, how am I going to introduce the kids, what's the best for them, because necessarily I have to think more than just me. Of course the usual things, do I like this person? Is that person attractive? Do we have interest? Can we have conversations? Can I say whatever the hell I want? That's really important to me, without backlash. Honesty sometimes is not the best policy. You can't be a dick either. So there's a fine line between being a dick and being honest. So yeah, this is, and then Sunday, I was absolutely exhausted. I was so pooped. I can't believe I said that. I was pooped. Yeah, I crashed and didn't do a whole lot most of the day. I ended up mowing my yard, but the whole week I've been moving, so it finally caught up with me on Sunday, so I didn't get a lot accomplished, other than the mowing. So yeah, Monday, back to work, and then, so yeah, sometimes you get news that stops your brakes, and I kind of talked about it in my last episode, I was kind of on politics, just because that was on my mind at the time, which we can get into some of that stuff later. But sometimes you get news or an email, and you're just floored by it, and like, what the heck is going on? What was this person talking about? I got one of those emails, and so my immediate reaction was anger, and I sent and fired an email right back, but then I didn't send it. I was like, I better sit on this a little bit. And I waited a day before I responded, and it's the right frame of mind. If you take a step back and look at it and not take it so personal, which sometimes I tend to do that, and you just try to look, what is that person actually saying? So I kept rereading the email and saying, what am I picking up on? Is it personal, or is it just, it wasn't personal, it's an expectation not met, I suppose you could say. I don't want to talk about. It's personal, obviously, but yeah, how do you handle something like that? Well, but my reaction is to pump the brakes on. I think it's actually okay to write it out. It actually feels good. But be careful before you hit send, because, especially if you have a personal relationship or as a business person, you don't want to come off like, wow, Trent's pretty sensitive. Like, I wasn't really attacking him. I was just. So it's not necessarily criticism. The email wasn't really criticism. It was just talking about, an event that happened. So, I'm trying to keep this real casual and my foot is starting to fall asleep, so I had to move. I think I was sitting on my feet for a while. You guys ever do that? You ever sit on your feet? I like to do that sometimes, and all of a sudden, my foot's asleep. Duh. So yeah, so another problem with when I get news like that, I take it so personal and take it so hard that it affects the rest of my day until I can finally deal with it in my head and then get it back out and then move on. But I think that's where, if you're in a certain type of anxiety or depression you've ever had in your life, some of those things can really like put you down and put you down hard. What I mean by that is, like, it knocks you down. Like, oh, here I did. I made another mistake, and somebody doesn't like me, and it's not the liking. I don't care about people not liking me. It's more about how do I explain this? It always feels like an attack at first, which it is in any kind of business relationship, any kind of personal type relationship. I think it's harder when in business, because you tend to like own things more, and if things go wrong, it's really crushing sometimes, and it's hard to get over if you make a mistake. And in a type of business that I'm in, where any type of thing could ruin a shoot, or can ruin a production if you're not prepared, or so. Those types of things you have to be cognizant of always, and even when you think you're doing something correctly, it can be perceived as not by somebody else just because that's a different personality. So I try to, and I'm working on that. And look, you're gonna make mistakes in the type of business that you do, any type of business. But the problem I have with it is I dwell on it too hard, and I take it too personal, and I get really upset and mad, and then my anxiety starts flaring up, and I start thinking, wow, you're really just a shithole. You're a shit person. You can't do anything right. That's the first things that come out of my mind. So I'm working on that. It's not a reflection on me, and that's what you have to. Any type of things that happen in your life, you can't have this attitude of, well, you can't let it ruin your day, or anyone to steal your joy, which I used to say a lot. Don't let anyone steal your joy. But news like that, obviously, when you get kind of bad news, it can really devastate you in some cases. And if you're in a bad state where things aren't going your way, and you're a little bit down, a little bit depressed, it can make you go down even further. And the thing I try to do is there are certain men in my life, older men, that I have a problem. I'll talk to them, and I was like, hey, can you read this and just give me your perspective. even when it comes to business or when it comes to like a personal matter or relationship. It's really helpful to have that kind of sounding board that you can go to that person. And because I think it's the rational part of yourself, because we're all irrational. We are. We try to be rational, I think, but in most cases we're not. So I like to do that to get different perspectives, just so I know, not that I'm trying to be right, because I don't want to be right. It's not about being right all the time. It's really about, am I seeing things through just my own lens, I suppose. So yeah, there's certain people I'll talk to get those kind of questions out that are in my mind, because if I don't, I will constantly think about them all day. I mean, I will. I mean, you can pretty much guarantee it. But this is why I started doing this in a sense, is to get some of the stuff that's out in the open, even though it's a public forum and such. It's just, I feel it's important, and I think it's been therapeutic for me to do that. And, share a little bit about my life and so what did we learn? What did we learn? Keep the bird in your cage while you're moving. That's number one. Number two, don't move with your kids, because they don't really help. They just get in the way. At least my kids did. Hey, that was my mom. She called. So I think I've rambled enough today. This has been interesting Monday ramblings, because it was an interesting weekend, and I'm feeling much better about what's happening. The move is stressful, obviously. A lot more emotion than I thought there would be, and perhaps there will be that coming up this weekend when I'm finally leaving. Because of everything, my kids were born here in Steuben County and Fremont, Angola. I built a business here. Unfortunately, I just couldn't sustain the amount of work and money I was getting when I was running the channel, and I couldn't sustain that online. But I wish, I don't think I could change anything, because of I had to focus on my family at that point, and I couldn't go at the pace I was working 60 to 70 hours and covering every event in the area and doing my video production job also. It became quite taxing for me, and I had a panic attack when my nephew was born, the day of, and so I started slowing my schedule down a little bit, but now I've been getting more active, getting back out there again, trying to promote my business more, trying to do stuff like this, because I was in a hole. I was in low. Like I think I wasn't excited about myself or cared about myself very much, and not that social media is important, it really isn't, but to run a business, it is important for you to establish a presence and keep it. And then I really just I stayed in the shadows for way too long, I feel, and that's why I've been trying to get myself motivated and back out there and trying to do more work, trying to improve myself again, which I don't feel like I have. I've done some good work over the years, great work, and but there's always part of me that feels like, I gotta show them, or show who. I really don't have to do that anymore. I feel like I don't have to try to prove myself, but to other people, but more so to myself, that I still can do it. And I still play volleyball. I still play once a week in a league. I might pick up a second league when I move to Fort Wayne, but we'll see. Until then, you know, I really wanted to encourage people today that, you know, these small little things that happen, like an email that I got on Monday, and now I'm almost forgotten about. I've ranted about it for a day. It's really relevant in the sense of time and space of your life. If you handle things and not take it so personal, it's really going to help you in the long run to endure the happiness that you should have, and not allowing other people to dictate your mood, your feelings, your emotions. So you may feel like you're getting attacked, but which I felt that too. But when I took a step back, I wasn't. It's really part of what I do as a profession is when you make videos or you make things or make anything. It's not so black and white whereas if your washer gets fixed, it either gets fixed or it doesn't. It's different. So you've got a lot of eyeballs on it, and people have different ideas of what things should look like or should not. Anyway, again, I read something the other day from Tiny Buddha. These goddamn flies. Is this going to be important in 5 years from now? Will this be important 5 years from now? In the scheme of things, no. So let's enjoy life, everybody. Have a great day. Have a great week. And please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. This is Monday Ramblings with Trent Lewis. Peace.